Hello and welcome to this News9 special. Jagdish Shettars, the tall veteran and the most important BJP leader, has taken a big plunge. He has joined the Congress. But then the big question was, why did he in fact go ahead and join a party with whom he has been fighting for the last almost 30 years? What led to Jagdish Shettars in fact going ahead and making this kind of an effort to join the enemy ranks? Well, he's written about this in his social media post in Kannada, which is an open letter on the reasons why he had to move away from the BJP, though he has been claiming to be one of those people who ensured the growth of the party in North Karnataka and also ensured that it was the state in which, among the southern states, the first state in which the BJP in fact bloomed in southern India. With the team that was compromised then, that was of Yediyurappa as well as Jagdish Shettars and Ishwarappa, the trio had built the party and had brought the Saffron Party to power in the elections. Now this person, who has been one of the pillars, has moved away, and he has in fact raised a lot of questions about why it had to be done. And to that he has answered with this open letter. He has raised several issues, especially about the party leadership. He's spoken about how his proposals were shot down by the party, and he also ensured that he was able to get into the Congress only because of one word that he says described his situation in the BJP: humiliation. Let's listen into what Jagdish Shettars had to say.
Last few months, there is a humiliation I suffered, and self-respect is damaged, and so many things happened, ill treatment. Because of that, it affected my self-respect, even self-respect of the people of the Hubli Dharwad, Karnataka people, and there is a lot of call from all the corner of the Karnataka. So, with all respect, I quit the party, and I'll work for the Congress.
Well, to discuss more about this, in the studios we have Ajit Vijay Kumars, editor with News9 Live. Vijay Grover, who's a senior journalist, also joins us. Well, let's first go to Ajit Vijay Kumars. Ajit, a letter that has come in, and in that very significantly he speaks about how he was denied the kind of respect that he required to be given when he's a leader, especially one of those founding leaders in Karnataka for the party. And he seems to be saying that he's been humiliated in it. Humiliation is the case, or is it that he was not ready to step down despite the party asking to do that?
Right. So, one way to look at Jagdish Shettars and his political career, he has been a 6-time MLA, and that's something, speaks about his stature. But then, given the current situation in Karnataka, if the party felt that he should not have contested, and I think he was offered a lot of things, including governorship and a cabinet post at the center. I think he should have somewhere also considered it. Having said that, I think this whole idea about being humiliated just because he has not been given a ticket is something that the Congress is trying to now play upon. And his joining the party and playing the humiliation thing would certainly impact the BJP in the upcoming elections.
But then if you look at the entire scenario that we are looking, especially North Karnataka, as you said, he's a tall leader and he's got a lot of clout in that area. Now the issue over here is that though he was given a lot of offers as such, one of the things that he suggested and that we come to know from the letter is this, that he had said, let me contest this elections. After 6 months, I will put down my papers and you can get anyone to contest from there. I just want an honorable exit from electoral politics. But they did not agree to it. This is what he specified in this letter.
Right. So while he may have put the honorable exit to having to contest an election, I think what was actually playing in his mind is what happens after Yediyurappa, exits as the tallest leader of the Lingayat community. I think it was more of the consideration rather than just being into electoral politics, because if the BJP were supposed to win this time, then he would have been a natural contender to be the CM. So that's what he is kind of, I think, peeved about.
So you're saying that, as he also points out, that there are certain people in the leadership who have been trying to build the party according to their vested interests. So he has been naturally cut away from the internal politics of the party. So you're saying that if he is actually angry, the fact that his chance of becoming a CM has been taken away. Right. Probably the, as you said, the rightful successor to Yediyurappa. So he's against the leadership. So which leadership is he talking about when you come to the state that has been against him?
I think, there are a couple of very senior leaders in the, Karnataka Congress and people from Karnataka who are active in central. I think he's referring to them. But given the way the BJP functions, I think no such decision, and especially when it comes to a senior person like Jagdish Shettar, would have been taken by the ground level leadership. It would have come way from the top, I feel. And now the party, because it feels that it has kind of erred somewhere, is that we have JP Nadda, rushing to Hubli today.
So JP Nadda is rushing to Hubli. Let's in fact get Vijay Grover, senior journalist who in fact joins us. Vijay Grover, how do you see the reading from this letter that he's put out, an open letter saying that Jagdish Shettar feels that he's been humiliated and the party was not willing to listen to him? Was it just a pretext to say that he was not given his way, that's why he decided to join the Congress?
Morning. The first thing that comes to mind is, why did somebody let the situation come to this, that we are having an open debate, a public debate where whether what he did was right or wrong. Knowing Jagdish Shettar for nearly 3 decades now, I can very confidently say that he's not been a very demanding leader even within the BJP and was one of the most disciplined. Yes, he had issues on seniority with several leaders and was a man who did not compromise his stance on several issues. In fact, he could put his foot down on several contentious issues, especially the hard Hindutva ones, because, he was always against those kind of ideology being propagated. And one of the things that also comes to mind now, and the fact is that, why did he write today and not write before? And, the number of people and the people that he's hinting at who could be responsible for his exit from the party is something that is being discussed at party level at various sections. One of the things is also that are the Lingayat leaders being shown the place? Is the BJP High Command trying to show that we are not a Lingayat dominated party? Because the kind of outreach that the party has made in the last couple of years, the social engineering that it has tried to work out with the OVCs and the SC/STs and also the Vokaliga community, clearly this could be a message to those communities by the BJP High Command that look, we are not dependent on one community or one caste. We are now a party which is trying to reach out to all of you. So it could serve a benefit for the BJP in terms of the outreach it has made. But yes, what I feel, or a lot of other people feel, is that Jagdish Shettar may have paid the price for not bedding down, and that is the reason why he had to leave. Because even when there were names of Bommai being replaced when all these issues had caught up, his was one of the front runner names. A man who could be even considered as a last minute replacement for Bommai just 6 months before election. If he is forced to leave the party, then there is something more than what meets the eye. And party insiders do tell that he could have fallen in favor from some of the senior BJP leaders from Karnataka who are in center, and what many also refer to individual names, saying that it could be like the Brahmin lobby, which is not in his favor, because he would have been an ideal choice for a CM candidate. So maybe his exit has moved the prospects of some other leaders to become CM in case BJP comes to power. So that is where all this is being debated, and Jagdish Shettar, by sending this open letter, has sent a very strong signal that he was hurt by the kind of treatment that he was getting, and maybe he had kept quiet in the past, but this time he was not willing to keep quiet because many of his supporters feel that for a man who has developed the party in the south in such a strong way, right from beginning when the party had no foothold in south of India, this is not the kind of treatment that should have been given to him. because his contribution, his family's contribution, his father's contribution is something which is respected a lot in North Karnataka, especially because they have done a lot to develop the party. And
But Guru, what led to the BJP not
to
having a compromise formula? I mean, they would be first if they were, what Jagdish Shettars says in his letters, that they did not tell me. They could have spoken to me a week back before they decided on not giving me a ticket. I was shocked when at the last moment they told me that they're not going to give me a ticket. Why is the BJP not having a compromise? They just thought that Jagdish Shettar would just take it lying low. That is the big mistake that seems that the BJP had done out over there. Because they just thought, because he's, as you rightly pointed out, he's not a demanding leader. But probably he decided to stand his ground this time.
Yeah. See, this is something where, because there were certain factions within the party, and we all know the factionalism in the BJP Karnataka is very, very high and very strong. And there were leaders from Hubli Dharwad region who were not comfortable in him being in the race this time, because, if the BJP had come to power, and obviously with B.S. Yediyurappa certainly not being in the race, a man of Jagdish Shettars' seniority, he's considered more senior than even B.S. Bommai, and that would have been an ideal choice, especially the Lingayat community. So this time, the fact that he's decided to speak out clearly shows that there would have been some provocations which maybe he had ignored in the past, kept quiet. Yeah, but what a lot of his supporters, whom we try to speak, is they say that this was getting a little too much for him, because this is not the kind of treatment that a person who has done 46 years of political career should be getting. Also the fact that, what his supporters say, that, when there was even an internal survey of anti-incumbency constituency-wise, Jagdish Shettars was one constituency where there was no anti-incumbency to the level, because in some constituencies they are up to 30% against the BJP anti-incumbency. So here it was like practically nil. So that is something where, his supporters, the way they have rallied behind him, we've seen so many corporators stepping down, so many panchayat leaders resigning from the BJP and, standing behind him, clearly shows that, this could be a close contest. And for Jagdish Shettar, the fact that JP Nadda may be rushing today to Hubli to speak to him, but I think so it's a little too late, because, having taken this step, Jagdish Shettar is a man who will now stand by what stands.
Is it too late, Ajit, as he points out that JP Nadda, we had a time when Jagdish Shettar went to Delhi to speak with JP Nadda. Now you see that JP Nadda, after him joining the Congress, is trying to rush back. Probably JP Nadda has realized that Jagdish Shettar's exit, and along with the supporters, means a big issue for the BJP in North Karnataka.
Certainly, yes, and someone of the stature of JP Nadda, rushing to Hubli means that the party is feeling the heat of the exit of of Shettar and the others from the Lingayat community. But at a overall, at a more political level, I would say that Shettar may actually not want to come back at this juncture, because given his age and the kind of candidates that the BJP has picked this time, they have kind of tried and bringing a lot of next generation leaders into the system. I think he understands that this is his last chance to have a share of power.
So was it like a forced premature retirement that the BJP was trying to place on him?
Yes, I think that's the case, and he kind of he could have he kind of sensed it possibly that I'm being pushed to the corner when I still have in me to actually aim for the top slot. Given the way the fractured mandate is in Karnataka, he certainly understood that if the party were to come to some amount of number in terms of close to majority, then he can play a role. Okay. And possibly that's what has upset him, and led to all this. But more importantly, I would say that Nadda's itinerary, while he's gonna meet a lot of people, and I don't think so he's meeting Shettar is part of his itinerary there. But importantly, he's also gonna meet the seers of two influential mutts in the region, right? So
because another issue, of course, since you read that issue about seers, the first thing was as you mentioned, from those 2 months, calls went immediately to Jagdish Shettar, saying that you have been wrong, we stand by you.
Correct.
So it looks like it's not about placating Jagdish Shettar alone, it is also to placate these mutts which have a huge influence on the voters there.
Right, so the Lingayat politics revolves around the mutts, right? So one has to be very sure of that. That the whole lot of these Lingayat politicians, they can't survive without active support from the mutts.
Of course, you have to have that backing from them.
Correct, and while Shettar is a Lingayat, he belongs to a subsect, right, of the Lingayats, and he's not the Veer Shaiva Lingayat like Yediyurappa is. So possibly the party may be of the view that the Veer Shaivas, because they are with Yediyurappa and at least on he is with the party, I think they will be able to control the damages what they are trying to assess, because the kind of votes that this particular subset to which Shettar belongs, I don't think so. They have much votes in North Karnataka.
Well, let's get Vijay Grover into it. Vijay Grover, when you look at the manner in which some of these senior leaders have been retired, Yediyurappa, Ishwarappa, and the so-called attempt to get Jagdish Shettar to retire prematurely, there is an attempt to have a generational shift in the BJP. They are trying to ensure that the second rung of leadership comes as the first rung, and then the third rung of leadership to the second line of leadership. So there is a generational shift that is happening. So is the BJP saying that it's okay to sit in the opposition right now, but let's ensure that we have a vision for the next 10 to 15 years with this leadership change?
Okay, you put it absolutely right. The fact that there are 72 new faces, first timers who will be contesting elections, clearly shows that, the way BJP has cultivated this kind of thing in Maharashtra, and successfully so, because the way Dev Fadnavis had led the government with younger breed clearly shows that, it is capable of experimenting the same thing, because there's not much at stake in Karnataka, because the party was already facing anti-incumbency, and rather than let the senior leaders face the heat, it's decided to, let the younger people come forward. Maybe they promise some more hope. But the fact that, this could have been communicated better to senior leaders, because the way Ishwarappa was treated, the way Jagdish Shettars is being treated, and the way Arvind Limbavli, who's not been given Mahadevpura, he managed to get it for his wife, clearly shows that, seniors who have contributed could have been given a graceful exit. But notwithstanding that, there is also the fact that these senior leaders feel that there is a section within Karnataka Congress which has forced them out in a very rough way. We saw Ishwarappa's outburst a couple of days back. We saw Arvind Limbavli, who had blamed that, there are senior leaders in the BJP Bangalore who were gunning for him, and we have Jagdish Shettar, who could not take it and resigned from the party. So there is had to be, if it could have been done, the shift or the transition to a younger blood could have been done in a more softer way, by taking people into confidence, like the way it was done in Delhi after Prime Minister Modi took charge, that, Margdarshak Mandal was created, and we did not see any bad blood between anybody publicly. So that could have been avoided, and this is something which is it. But as Ajit very rightly put across the fact that, the mutts are something who feel that they have been wrong, because we see and we notice one thing very clearly, that Jagdish Shettar alone could not have taken such a bold step of leaving the BJP and coming to the Congress. Certainly he had the backing of some of the seers, certainly he had the backing of some of the others, because the way the Lingayats have been, pushed aside. We saw the same protests happening when Yediyurappa was asked to step down, and it was only after pressure was built by the mutts that, Bommai replaced him again from the Lingayat community. So clearly this time around also, if Jagdish Shettar has taken such a bold step, there is a feeling that the Brahmin lobby within the RSS and the BJP has been trying to marginalize the dominance of the Lingayat community in the BJP. So there is this sentiment which has been discussed about in close quarters in the media and also in the BJP itself. So while a lot of people feel that, it could help the BJP of breaking the Lingayat dominance, it could also mean that it could gain in other quarters what it's losing out or stand to lose out in the Lingayat vote bank.
But
So
is it a good
clearly,
strategy,
there is
Vijay
plus
Grover? I
and
mean,
minus in
let me
both
get
places.
Ajit into it. Is it a good strategy? I mean, they have been a loyal electorate. They had a history of why they, went towards the BJP, especially when Virendra Patil was
Yes.
humiliated. So, is it a good strategy to actually make, your existing electorate, which has a huge presence north and central Karnataka, around, if my numbers, if I think it is around 33%, to 33 to 38% is their presence, if I think across the electorate we are looking at. So, they easily have a sway to maybe around 70 seats, they could have easy sway on it. So, is it wise to, in fact, antagonize them? For a lobby, as he said, for the Brahmin lobby, because electoral politics is about the numbers.
Right. So before we come to the Lingayat question, I think one point that people are not discussing that much, and I think it should be discussed, is that Jagdish Shettar comes from a proper RSS family. Okay?
Yes, he comes from a proper.
His father was a mayor from the Jan Sangh, and he has been a pracharak himself. So for a hardcore, real pracharak and RSS worker to be humiliated is something I think will have more repercussions than what we can kind of fathom at the moment. And coming to the whole issue of Lingayats and wanting to put down the Lingayats, if that's the strategy that they're working on, I think they are missing something here, because eventually what they want is that they should have support of more communities other than just the Lingayats. Like with full support of Lingayats also, they can at best win around 90 to 100 seats, and they would be far away from absolute majority. What they wanted and what they're trying is to rope in the Vokiligas and certain sections of the SCs and STs. But for them to do it, do they have to actually antagonize the Lingayats? Is a strategy I think is not based on real assessment.
Real assessment. Vijay Grover, now if you look at the Congress, you have tall leaders from all the communities there with them, including Shettar for the Lingayats, you have D.K. Shivakumar for the Vokaligas, you have Siddharamayas for the Kurubas. I mean, three dominant communities already having leadership representation in the Congress. Now, with Shettar's coming in, is it advantage Congress that we are seeing, especially in North Karnataka?
Well, see, Shettar'S coming in may help the Congress to some extent, though it had leaders like Shamnur Shiv Shankarappa, or it had M.B. Patil, two prominent Lingayat leaders. But the fact that Shettar'S entry will send message to a section of the society, because though the two leaders, Shamnur Shiv Shankarappa and M.B. Patil, are popular in the communities, they were not major vote catchers. And in North Karnataka, where the BJP had a very strong grip, a very strong hold, Jagdish Shettars' entry could influence at least 5 to 7 constituencies. That is what is being calculated. But yes, instead of becoming a Vokaliga versus Lingayat, the fact that this time around the BJP has worked very hard. We saw Amit Shah camping in Mandya for such a long time, trying to develop the cooperatives over there using the Amul thing, which may have backfired to some extent. But clearly the outreach this time was also the fact that the party high command does not want to be dependent on one community alone, because we've seen the way when Yediyurappa left, what happened. We saw the BJP not being able to get the Lingayat community support. So this time around, clearly the BJP high command, which has made this transitional shift, is looking at a strategy where it does not want to be one caste or one community dominated. And this is the calculation, because the Lingayats would constitute about 15 to 17% votes, though there is no clarity on exact number. The Vokaligas are the similar number. And this time it could be an election where the Vokaliga community, which feels that it has been out of power for a long time, not got the kind of representation in the governance, could make it a make or break election for all the three parties, given the fact that whether the Vokaligas will vote as a bloc for the JDS, the Congress, or they will rally behind R. Ashok, who's now been pitted against D.K. Shivakumar. So clearly the paradigm shift in strategy seems to be working, not just in the Lingayat community, it's also working with counter forces working in the Vokaligas, the OBCs and the Kurubas. So clearly this is something which will promises to be an election which could make a transition from just a Vokaliga versus Lingayat election, which we've seen in the last couple of elections. This time there could be a lot more aspects which could come out while voting.
Well, Vijay Kumars, I know like last time, even Ajit, I want to get you into that discussion. Last time you said that there are certain names that it looks like are working in the party in such manner, which we have Jagdish Shettars in that letter going ahead and saying that the party is being built over the vested interests of certain people. Who are these people? Can we, in fact, bring out or just even indicate who these people could be?
Certainly, because he is coming from North Karnataka, so he is kind of referring to people from North Karnataka particularly, I feel. But then, the thing here is that, in terms of the whole thing, what has happened with Jagdish Shettars also, I think while the party would want to, as we all know, that, they want to, and, as Grover said, right, they want to broad base their, appeal. But what is actually playing out with this whole, with this whole Shettar episode particularly is the whole battle in terms of who will claim ownership of the Lingayat community. That's what it is playing out. That's exactly what it is.
Is that the case? Who will, in fact, be the leader of the Lingayat community? Is that the actual battle that is actually being played out, which we are unable to see right moment because we get caught in the party dynamics? Is that the case, Vijay Grover? Vijay Grover, the question that I was asking is that are we looking at the fight for the Lingayat leadership? Who is going to be the leader of the Lingayats? Is that the actual fight that we are looking at? Because we are getting caught in party dynamics, but actually that is the fight.
See, very clearly, there's no doubt as far as, the Lingayat community's leadership is concerned. It's vested at the moment with B.S. Yediyurappa. And, he is unquestionably the tallest leader because it was during his rule that we saw that the Lingayat Mutts were given the kind of attention, the kind of funding to take up their social projects, and also ensure that they took a part in the social development. But, there is a certain resentment this time because the way we saw that, keeping Jagdish Shettars aside, even the way B.S. Yediyurappa had to literally fight for his son to get the constituency of his choice, Shikaripura. Because, there were messages being sent that he would be asked to contest from Varuna against Siddaramaiah and not from Shikaripura. So clearly, there were attempts within the BJP, which is being said, which wanted to destabilize the Lingayat dominance. So clearly, these are the aspects which raise questions. So, clearly the decision now rests with the Mutts and the Seers to decide to what extent they would want to be seen with the BJP High Command, or they would want to go with individual Lingayat leaders who have worked with them for several decades. So clearly, the kind of strategy difference between the Karnataka BJP and the central BJP are showing in this election. So while the BJP still feels that, it could reach out to them in the next 20-25 days and do some damage control. But clearly, it all depends on to what extent Yediyurappa calls the shots, because Jagdish Shettars may have very limited influence as far as, the Lingayat community is concerned. But Yediyurappa, whether he's fully happy, because, we've seen his ups and downs in terms of his response in terms of ticket distribution and the way his own allies were, not considered. We saw only yesterday that Umesh Shetty Somanna, who is the key lieutenant of B.S. Yediyurappa, getting a ticket from Govind Rajanagar. So clearly, there is a sentiment of hurt, not just in Jagdish Shettars, in many more leaders. But will they be able to get, the entire community support this time around also, will clearly decide a lot of aspects. And this is something which, as I told you earlier, there is a paradigm shift in the way elections will be held this time around, which could be, sending a very strong message, not just to the Lingayat leaders, but also to the BJP High Command.
Well, thank you, Vijay Grover, for in fact speaking to News9, and thank you, Ajit, also for joining us in this discussion. With that, it's a wrap on the special on Shettar'S Tell-All Letter. Keep tuned for more programs on News9.